Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, girls and boys. The memorial's last post ceremony will begin in a few minutes. The last post ceremony is broadcast on the Australian War Memorial's YouTube channel. Please feel free to take photographs or film the service, and we encourage you to share your photos to the memorial's Facebook. Good evening, visitors. Welcome to the Australian War Memorial's last post ceremony. My name is Lexa Peterson, and joining us today from the Australian Army is Warrant Officer Class 1 Warwick Butterworth. We warmly welcome the family of Private Daniel Cooper, whose story will be told shortly. We welcome the veterans who have served, those that are still serving, and the families that love and support them. The live stream of this ceremony is made possible by the Returned and Services League of Australia and the RSL and Services Clubs Association. We welcome members who are watching the broadcast of this ceremony across Australia. During this evening's ceremony, wreaths will be laid at the base of the pool of reflection by family, visitors to the memorial, students on behalf of Jerramungup District High School visiting from Jerramungup, Western Australia, and students on behalf of Penguin District School from Penguin, Tasmania, and Australian Defence Force cadets representing 429 Squadron from Queenscliff, Victoria. If you're able, please stand and join in singing the national anthem. Visitors who are able to do so, please be seated. The Australian War Memorial was the vision of Charles Bean, Australia's First World War official historian. Bean landed with the Australian troops at Gallipoli and stayed with them at the front through to the end of the war. The idea of this national memorial and museum came to him at Pozières, France, in the depths of the bloody fighting of 1916. Bean's idea was that this would be a place where families and friends could mourn loved ones buried in faraway places. It would also be a place that could help all Australians understand what these men and women had endured and what they had done for us. Bean's vision, to which we remain true, is best expressed as inscribed at the entrance to the memorial's galleries. Here is their spirit, in the heart of the land they loved, and here we guard the record that they themselves made. Tonight we will read the story behind just one of those on the Roll of Honour, which lists the names of more than 103,000 men and women who've given their lives for us in war and on operations for more than a century. But first we present a lament, Flowers of the Forest. Wreaths or floral tributes will now be laid at the base of the pool of reflection.
Today we remember and pay tribute to Private Daniel Cooper. It is in honour of the proud tradition of Indigenous Australian military service that we tell his story today. Daniel Cooper was born in 1896 in Moama on the New South Wales side of the Murray River. He was the third of 6 children born to Yorta Yorta man, William Cooper, and his second wife, Agnes Hamilton, who was born in Wemba Wemba country but raised on Corandurk Aboriginal Station outside Melbourne. One of Daniel's older siblings, Altamore, had died in infancy. He had also had one surviving half-sibling from his father's first marriage. Daniel and his siblings were educated at the state school on the Coomergunja Reserve between Moama and the Victorian town of Barmer. After completing his education, Daniel found work as a labourer, living with his father in Yarrawonga, Victoria. Daniel enlisted in the Australian Imperial Force at Broadmeadows Camp outside Melbourne on the 23rd of July 1915. Although official military regulations barred men not of substantial European origin from joining the Defence Forces, including Indigenous Australians, Daniel's enlistment was accepted without problems. He began initial training at Broadmeadows Camp with the rank of private. Daniel was required to fill out new attestation papers on the 8th of February 1916 while at Broadmeadows because his original papers had been lost. Although he had been originally assigned to the 4th Reinforcements of the 29th Infantry Battalion, he was transferred to the 10th Reinforcements of the 24th Infantry Battalion in early March. Private Daniel Cooper departed Melbourne in His Majesty's Australian Transport Wiltshire on the 7th of March 1916. After spending a few weeks training in Egypt, he left Alexandria in His Majesty's Transport Tunisian on the 30th of May 1916, bound for France and the Western Front. The 24th Battalion arrived at Marseille and travelled north to the Australian Divisional Base Depot at Tupley. While there, Daniel was admitted to the 2nd General Hospital on the 19th of June, suffering from a hernia. After 4 days of treatment in France, he was transferred to England and admitted to the 3rd London General Hospital for further treatment. After nearly 2 months, he was transferred to the 6th Training Battalion on the 2nd of September. 10 days later, Daniel was admitted to hospital again, this time suffering from colic. On the 16th of September, he proceeded overseas to France. Private Daniel Cooper was taken on strength of the 24th Battalion in Belgium on the 29th of September 1916. He spent the next 2 months, along with the rest of his unit, alternating between the front line and labouring tasks behind the lines. As winter approached, Daniel was ill again, suffering from trench foot. Although he was discharged to duty 3 days later, he was again admitted to the field ambulance on the 27th of November, now suffering from acute cystitis, a urinary tract infection. He was admitted to the 11th Stationary Hospital at Rouen for treatment. He was discharged to the 2nd Australian Base Depot in Tupley on the 12th of December. Daniel rejoined the 24th Battalion in the field on the 9th of January 1917. He participated in the Second Battle of Bullecourt in May 1917 and survived the fighting unscathed, despite the battalion's high number of casualties. After spending June and July training behind the lines, the battalion moved to the north of France in August and then to Belgium in early September to take part in the Third Battle of the Ypres. On the 20th of September, men from B Bravo Company of the 24th Battalion were resting behind the line at Ypres in a railway cutting, waiting to go up to the front line. Cooper was with 2 other men from his platoon, sitting underneath an iron structure. While the men were waiting, it was hit by a high explosive enemy shell which killed all 3 soldiers. Daniel Cooper was 21 years old. Daniel's remains were initially buried in a nearby cutting by members of his battalion in the 23rd of September, 3 days after his death. In 1920, his remains were exhumed and reinterred in the China Wall section of the Perth Cemetery in Apri. His gravestone bears the simple inscription selected by his father William, father's son. After the war, Daniel's father William became famous for his activism, seeking recognition and rights for Aboriginal people. Much of his activism was driven by Daniel's war service and the experience of the Indigenous soldiers who returned home. His name is also listed on the Roll of Honour on my right among almost 62,000 Australians who died while serving in the First World War. His photograph is displayed today beside the pool of reflection. This is but one of the many stories of service and sacrifice told here at the Australian War Memorial. We now remember Private Daniel Cooper, who gave his life for us, for our freedoms, and in the hope of a better world.
Please stand for the reading of the ode and sounding of the last post.
They shall not grow old, as we that are left grow old. Age shall not weary them, nor the years condemn. At the going down of the sun in the morning, we will remember them. Lest we forget.
We leave you this evening with the words of the memorial's founder, Charles Bean. Many a man lying out there at Poziere or in the low scrub at Gallipoli with his poor, tired senses barely working through the fever of his brain has thought in his last moments, well, it's over, but in Australia they will be proud of this. Ladies and gentlemen, girls and boys, that concludes the last post ceremony. On behalf of our director, staff and volunteers, thank you for visiting the Australian War Memorial today. We wish you all a very pleasant evening.